Welcome to the film room for today's explainer. We're jumping right into a seriously fascinating tactical clash set for August 29th, 2026, an 11-3 Virginia squad defending their home turf against an 8-5 NC State team. And look, to truly understand how this game is going to unfold on the gridiron, we aren't just throwing darts at a board here. We're using completed baseline evidence to build a rigorous system versus system projection. We're basically looking at the structural DNA of both of these programs to find exactly where this battle will be won or lost. Let's dive in. Just think about that number for a second. That is Virginia's suffocating defensive PPA allowed. When you turn on the tape, this metric literally jumps right off the screen. It proves they absolutely dominate the line of scrimmage, restricting plays and forcing opposing offenses to grind out every single grueling yard. There's no easy way out against this defense. Now, real quick, before we get too deep into the weeds, let's define PPA, or predicted points added, because it really underpins this entire tactical analysis. It's an advanced metric that measures the tactical scoring value gained or lost on every single play, factoring in the down, distance, and field position. Basically, it strips away the noise of empty yardage and tells us exactly how mathematically efficient a team really is. What makes this matchup so fun is the incredible contrast in overarching identities. On one side, you have Virginia. They're averaging a highly methodical 6.23 plays per drive, heavily relying on sustained possession building and an incredibly efficient standard down success rate. On the flip side, we have NC State. They are a volatile, high-ceiling, explosive aerial threat, highlighted by a massive .390 passing PPA. It's a classic heavyweight bout, methodical grinding control versus quick strike volatility. Section 1, the trenches. We're looking at the Virginia offense versus the NC State defense. Look, gap integrity and run fits are going to dictate the possession patterns of this entire game. Virginia's offense pushes forward for over 3 line yards per rush, with a solid 43.8% rush success rate. But they are crashing into an NC State defensive front, boasting a 19.3% stuff rate and allowing only 2.87 line yards. If Virginia decides to call inside zone or gap runs, they absolutely must avoid negative plays. Getting stuffed early by that NC State front completely derails Virginia's method of creating manageable second downs. But here's the thing. When Virginia gets into tight, short-yarded situations, wow, they are an absolute force. They boast an 81.1% power success rate. That leverage right there is exactly how they sustain drives, wear down the clock, and convert on third downs. It is the absolute engine of their possession control. Moving on to Section 2, the aerial duel, the NC State offense versus the Virginia defense. This quarterback and decision-making battle is going to be electric. 2.064. That metric alone should straight up terrify any defensive coordinator. That is NC State's passing down explosiveness. They don't just move the chains through the air, they blow the top off the coverage. Combine that with a 1.639 overall passing play explosiveness, and this is without a doubt their clearest path to pulling off a road upset. So how on earth does Virginia counter that? Well, they bring an elite structural pressure plan to the table. They allow an incredibly low 22.5% success rate on passing downs, generating 30 sacks, while utilizing an 8.7% defensive back havoc share. Tactically, expect Virginia to show a lot of too high safety shells, rotating late to prevent those clean vertical reads, and crucially, they rely on a highly disciplined 4-man rush. If Virginia can get home with just 4 rushers and drop 7 into coverage, they can totally neutralize that explosive threat. And this creates a massive tactical imperative for the Wolfpack. There is a steep drop-off here. NC State has a very healthy 49.2% success rate on standard downs, but that plummets to barely 31.9% on passing downs. So they absolutely have to win on first down. They need quick completions, RPO constraints, and pre-snap motion to stay ahead of the chains. If Virginia forces them into obvious passing downs, NC State's efficiency is going to absolutely crater. Flipping the script over to Virginia's aerial attack, the data points to a very specific strategy. NC State's secondary has proven vulnerable, allowing a 40.3% pass success rate, a 1.70 pass explosiveness, and a 0.297 opponent pass PPA. Virginia doesn't actually need to get into an early deep shot contest to win this. Instead, they should target this baseline with intermediate passing concepts. Think crossers, quickouts, and heavy play action. If they pair those with their highly efficient run game, they are going to force NC State to defend long, sustained drives rather than isolated deep balls. All right, Section 3, the Crucible. We're talking finishing, field position, and game states. You know, the final score is almost always decided right here in the crucible, down on the red zone. NC State's offense generates a stellar 4.69 points per scoring opportunity, but they are crashing head-on into Virginia's elite points prevention leverage, which allows only 3.01 points per opportunity. So, NC State has the superior finishing baseline, but Virginia's defense is practically a brick wall when backed up. Something has got to give when the field shrinks. Field position and hidden yardage matters significantly here too. Virginia holds a +6 turnover margin baseline compared to NC State's +2. On top of that, Virginia yielded 32 punt returns for 289 yards in our sample, compared to NC State's 14 returns for just 59 yards. Now, while we definitely must note that 2026 specialists are unverified and we aren't projecting unrepeatable return scores, the baseline data strongly suggests Virginia has a small yet consistent directional field position edge. So, what should you actually be watching for right after kickoff? Well, here are the live in-play cues that will either confirm or invalidate our pregame thesis. First quarter. Look for early down success. We're looking for a 45% or better target. First half. Does Virginia have a material play volume lead? And by the time we hit the fourth quarter, watch the first down win rate. Is NC State hitting clean vertical reads, or is Virginia repeatedly forcing them into second and long? Let's talk about how these live score states dictate pace and aggression. If Virginia takes an early lead, expect a much slower possession profile. They're going to lean on early down runs to salt the game away. Now, if NC State leads early, they must protect it with first down passing efficiency rather than just running conservative plays into a stacked front. And if we hit a fourth quarter tie, clock management becomes literally everything, explicitly keeping in mind there's roughly a 2% estimated probability this heads to FBS overtime. Finally, Section 4, the market overlay, and our final verdict. Okay, let's overlay all this tactical data onto the predictive layer. And please note, these are analytical model thresholds, all right? Not quoted market prices or wagering instructions. Our model sits at a 64% win probability for Virginia and 36% for NC State. Because of Virginia's defensive leverage, the model suggests passing on anything between Virginia -3.5 and NC State +5.5. NC State's explosive pass variance simply makes one-score margins incredibly volatile to predict. So what is the final verdict? We're looking at a projected score of Virginia 27, NC State 23. This is measured and completely grounded in the data. Virginia's play volume control and massive defensive PPA edge slightly outweigh NC State's highly explosive passing ceiling and red zone finishing capabilities. Virginia's path to victory here is through drive stability, not an overwhelming offensive mismatch. To wrap this explainer up, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. While the math definitely points to a Virginia win, remember, this is a baseline-driven estimate, not a current 2026 forecast. We are dealing with unverified depth charts to ensure strict analytical integrity. So the ultimate question remains, will Virginia's methodical discipline successfully choke out the clock, or will NC State's vertical fireworks completely shatter the model? Keep your eyes on the data, and I'll catch you next time.